Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating nickels in United States history, the 1961 Jefferson 5-cent coin. Believe it or not, some of these coins are worth more than $50,000. Yes, you heard that right, over $50,000 for a single nickel that you might still find in circulation today. Let's start with the story behind this coin. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel design. It was created to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The design we all know was created by Felix Schlag, a talented sculptor who won a design competition organized by the United States Mint. The obverse side of the Jefferson nickel features a left-facing portrait of Jefferson himself, with the inscriptions Liberty and the year of mintage along the rim. The reverse side shows his famous home, Monticello, located near Charlottesville, Virginia. The words E pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America surround the building design. Now let's fast forward to the year 1961. The United States Mint produced millions of Jefferson nickels that year, both at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The Philadelphia Mint coins have no mint mark, while the Denver Mint coins carry a small D mint mark on the reverse. To the right of Monticello. In total, the Philadelphia Mint struck about 76 million coins, and the Denver Mint produced more than 215 million. That sounds like a lot, and it is, but as with many older coins, condition and rarity come down to quality, not just quantity. Most 1961 nickels you'll find in circulation today are heavily worn and worth only face value, just 5 cents. But some examples, especially those with sharp details, clean surfaces, and high mint luster, can bring in impressive prices. For example, a 1961 Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition, graded mint state 65, might sell for $10 to $20 depending on eye appeal. Step it up to mint state 67, and the price can easily rise into the hundreds. However, the real excitement comes from coins with exceptional quality or striking errors. In 2023, a collector's dream came true when a 1961 Jefferson nickel from the Denver Mint, graded MS67 full steps, sold for an unbelievable $50,280 at auction. The term full steps refers to the sharp, uninterrupted details on the steps of Monticello on the reverse side. These lines are notoriously difficult to find fully struck, especially on coins from the early 1960s. The full steps designation adds massive value because it indicates the coin was struck with extreme precision and minimal die wear. Only a handful of 1,961 nickels exist in such pristine condition, and that's what makes them so valuable to collectors. In addition to full steps examples, there are also rare 1961 nickels with minting errors. Some of these include double die obverse, die cracks, off-center strikes, and even misaligned dies. Depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error, these can range from a few dollars to several hundred or even thousands of dollars. If you are a coin collector or just curious about coins you find in change, it's worth taking a closer look at every Jefferson nickel from 1961. You might have a small fortune hiding in plain sight. To check for value, start by examining the coin's mint mark. If you have a 1961 D nickel, pay special attention to the steps on Monticello. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. If you can see 5 or 6 distinct steps with no breaks or marks, you may have what's known as a full steps nickel, and that's where the big money starts. Coins that are clean, bright, and have never been circulated should also be handled carefully by their edges only, and stored in coin holders to protect their surfaces from scratches or fingerprints. Submitting your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC can officially certify its condition and make it easier to sell at top value. Collectors love Jefferson nickels because they combine beautiful design, American history, and affordable entry-level collecting with the thrill of rare high-value finds. The 1961 issue in particular stands out as one of those sleeper dates, a coin that looks common, yet hides a few extraordinary examples that can change hands for tens of thousands of dollars. To recap, most 1961 Jefferson nickels are worth just 5 cents. Nice uncirculated examples may sell for $10 to $50. But the finest known examples, those few ultra-high-grade full steps coins, have reached astonishing prices, including that record sale of $50,280. That's why it pays to look closely at your change. You never know when you might spot one of these shining treasures of American coinage history. We're diving deep into one of the most surprising modern nickel stories in the coin collecting world. We're talking about the 1982 D. Jefferson 5-cent nickel, a small coin that has made huge headlines for its shocking value. Some of these have sold for over $44,000. Yes, you heard that right, a simple nickel from 1982 worth over $44,280. Let's start with a little background about the Jefferson nickel itself. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. Designed by Felix Schlag, this 5-cent piece has been one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Over the decades, small changes in minting and design details have made certain years and varieties incredibly collectible, and the 1982 D is one of them. Now, 1982 was a transition year for many United States coins. The U.S. Mint was adjusting to rising metal prices and experimenting with different planchets and die varieties. While most nickels that year were made with the standard copper-nickel composition, some had striking differences in die quality, mint marks, and striking strength. This is where things get interesting. The Denver Mint produced millions of Jefferson nickels in 1982. In fact, over 373 million 1982 D nickels were struck, which makes it seem like this coin should be common. But hidden among those millions are a few coins that are anything but ordinary. Some of these rare pieces have minting errors, full steps on Monticello, or unique die varieties that set them apart and send their value soaring. One of the most sought-after types of Jefferson nickels from this year is the full steps variety. For collectors who may not know, full steps refers to the detail found on the steps of Monticello on the reverse of the coin. When the dies strike the coin perfectly, all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible without any breaks or weak spots. Most nickels don't have this level of detail because of worn dies or weaker strikes. But when a coin does show full steps, collectors are willing to pay a huge premium. Now let's talk about the 1982 D full steps nickel that stunned the coin world. This particular example was graded by PCGS, one of the most trusted coin grading companies in the world, and received an incredible grade of MS67 with full steps. That means it was in nearly perfect mint state condition, beautifully struck, with no signs of wear and complete step detail on Monticello. In 2021, one of these rare 1982 D Jefferson nickels sold for a jaw-dropping price of $44,280 at auction. That's an unbelievable price for a 5-cent coin. The reason behind such a high value comes down to rarity, condition, and collector demand. Even though the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels, almost none were struck well enough to achieve the full steps designation. Out of the few that survived in mint state, almost all have minor contact marks or weak step details. So finding one in pristine condition with sharp steps is nearly impossible, making it one of the rarest modern nickels known to exist. But even if your 1982 D nickel isn't worth $44,000, don't toss it aside just yet. Many 1982 D nickels in excellent uncirculated condition can still fetch anywhere from $5 to several $100s depending on their grade. Coins graded MS65 or MS66 without full steps can still command strong prices among collectors looking to complete their sets. That if you're wondering how to check whether your 1982 D nickel might be valuable, here's what to look for. First, check for the small D mint mark located to the right of Jefferson's portrait. Next, flip the coin over and examine the steps on Monticello under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. If you can clearly see 5 or 6 distinct lines with no major breaks, you might have a full steps nickel. Also, pay attention to the overall condition. The fewer scratches, nicks, and marks, the better the grade and the higher the value. It's also worth mentioning that many collectors underestimate how much condition matters. A coin that's been sitting in a drawer or circulated heavily will only be worth face value, but a coin that's been carefully preserved or found in a mint set could be a small treasure. That's why coin grading by professional services like PCGS or NGC can make such a big difference in determining actual market value. now let's discuss the current market trends for the 1982 D. Jefferson nickel. As of now, collector interest in modern varieties and high-grade nickels has continued to rise. The 1982 D nickel in average condition is still worth 5 cents, but high-grade mint state coins, especially those with full steps, have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the auction and buyer demand. The record sale of $44,280 remains one of the highest prices ever paid for a Jefferson nickel, proving that modern coins can still bring major profits when the right conditions align. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern nickels ever made, the Jefferson 2001 D 5-cent coin. Many people overlook this small piece of change, but a few special versions of this coin have shocked collectors and auction houses by selling for thousands of dollars, with one specimen reaching a staggering $38,280. So stay tuned as we explore its history, design details, mint errors, and current market value. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the buffalo nickel design that had circulated since 1913. It features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The design was created by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose work won a national competition. The obverse shows a left-facing bust of Jefferson, while the reverse displays his Virginia home, Monticello, which has become one of the most iconic images on United States coinage. Over the years, small design changes occurred, but the Jefferson nickel maintained its general appearance. From 1965 onward, nickels were made of a copper-nickel alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. By 2001, the Denver Mint continued to produce millions of these coins for circulation, but not all of them were created equal. The 2001 D. Jefferson nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, which used the mint mark D placed to the right of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. In total, over 700 million nickels were minted that year, making it seem like an extremely common coin at first glance. However, collectors know that even in large mintages, rare varieties and errors can appear, and sometimes those can turn an ordinary 5-cent coin into a small fortune. When examining a 2001 D. Jefferson nickel, pay close attention to the following features. On the obverse, Jefferson's portrait should be sharp, and the details in his hair and coat should stand out. The words "In God We Trust" appear along the left rim, while "Liberty" and the year 2001 appear to the right, followed by Jefferson's distinctive signature. On the reverse, Monticello should show strong architectural detail, with clearly defined columns and steps. Above it reads the word Monticello, followed by 5 cents, United States of America, and the Latin motto E pluribus unum at the top. Many valuable coins come from small striking mistakes that occurred during minting. Some examples include double die errors, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and over-polished dies. These imperfections are often what make a coin stand out in the eyes of collectors and grading services. In the case of the 2001 D. Jefferson nickel, the most valuable examples often feature strong minting errors or exceptional preservation quality. One particularly famous specimen was discovered to have a double die obverse, where the inscriptions Liberty and 2001 show noticeable doubling under magnification. This rare version sold for over $38,000 at auction because of its near-perfect condition and dramatic mint error. Another reason for high value can be the coin's grade. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC use a numerical scale from 1 to 70 to evaluate coins. A coin graded MS 70 is considered a perfect example, showing no contact marks, no wear, and a flawless strike. Even small differences in grade, for example from MS 66 to MS 68, can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars in price variation. Some collectors have also paid high amounts for proof-like strikes or coins with deep mirror surfaces, which are extremely unusual for regular Denver minted nickels. In these rare cases, the shine and luster can rival that of proof coins made for collectors, greatly increasing desirability and market demand. So what is the current market value of the 2001 D. Jefferson nickel today? In circulated condition, most examples are worth only face value, 5 cents, unless they have a visible error. In uncirculated condition, values can range from a few dollars to several hundred depending on grade and eye appeal, but the record-holding specimen graded MS 68 with a full step designation on the reverse, meaning that all of the steps of Monticello are fully struck and clearly separated, achieved an incredible sale price of $38,280 at a major coin auction. that sale shocked many collectors, proving that modern nickels can still command huge sums when they are rare enough and perfectly preserved. Today, top-grade examples continue to attract attention from serious numismatists. The market remains strong for Jefferson nickels with full-step detail, especially from years that are typically poorly struck. The 2001D is one of those cases, as strong strikes were relatively uncommon from the Denver Mint that year, making full-step coins especially desirable. If you want to check your own pocket change or coin jar for a valuable 2001D Jefferson nickel, here's what to do. First, look for the D mint mark on the reverse side. Next, check the coin's condition under a bright light or magnifying glass. Look for sharp detail on Jefferson's portrait and crisp steps on Monticello. If the coin appears to have doubling on the date or lettering, it might be a double die variety. Finally, if you think you might have an especially high grade or error coin, consider sending it to a professional grading service for authentication and certification. A small investment in grading can make a huge difference in realizing a coin's true value. So, to recap, the Jefferson 2001D 5-cent nickel might seem like just another common coin, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be worth a fortune. While most are worth only 5 cents, a select few have achieved prices over $38,000. It's a perfect reminder that treasures can still be found in ordinary places, even in your pocket change. We are diving deep into the 2002 P. Jefferson 5-cent nickel, everything from who made it and why most are common to the small handful that collectors pay real money for. I am going to walk you through the history, the mint numbers, how to spot valuable varieties, and what the market is actually paying right now, including the figure you mentioned of $32.280. So settle in, this is a long one and you will want to hear all of it. Open with a hook. Imagine pulling a nickel from your pocket and discovering that it is one of the few in existence that collectors would fight over and pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for. That is the excitement behind modern error and variety coins, and the 2002 P. Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how an otherwise humble coin can become suddenly desirable. Quick summary of the coin. The 2002 P. Jefferson nickel was struck in Philadelphia as a business strike and is the same 75% copper 25% nickel composition that had been used for Jefferson nickels for decades. The mintage for the Philadelphia strike that year was very large, with over 539 million pieces produced, which explains why the ordinary circulated example is basically worth face value or only a few cents above face in most conditions. APMEX +1. Why most 2002 P nickels are common? Because the Philadelphia Mint produced so many of them, and because the design and planchet were standard. The typical 2002 P nickel shows up in pocket change and in coin rolls. This abundance keeps the baseline price very low. Even uncirculated business strike examples usually sell for less than a few dollars unless they are high mint state grades or have a clear and dramatic error. Usecoinbook.com +1. So what makes certain 2002 P nickels worth a lot? There are a few categories that move value dramatically. Errors where the coin was misstruck, such as split planchet or a planchet with large missing metal, can be much more valuable than a normal coin. Die errors including dramatic doubling or an obvious double die on obverse or reverse will attract collectors. Mules, which are coins struck with mismatched dies for different denominations, are exceptionally rare and command high prices. Extremely high-grade uncirculated specimens, especially certified as MS67, MS68 or higher by a major grading service, will also be worth considerably more than the typical example. To show concrete examples, a split planchet 2002 P in an extremely high grade sold at auction for nearly $1,000 according to an auction record, and some dramatic modern error nickels can sell for hundreds to low thousands when the error is both obvious and attractive to collectors. Coin Value Checker +1. What is a split planchet and why is it valuable? A split planchet occurs when the blank metal disc that becomes the coin is partially split so that one face or part of the coin looks raised, rough, or incomplete. The result is visually unusual, and collectors of errors prize dramatic split planchets because they are rare and make for a striking specimen. When a split planchet example is certified at a high grade, it becomes easier for collectors to trust the rarity and condition, and that pushes prices up. Coin Value Checker. Other error types to look for: double die, where elements of the design look doubled and ghosted; die cracks and die breaks, which can produce raised lines or webs on the field of the coin; off center strikes, where part of the design is missing and you can see the blank metal margin; mule errors, where the obverse and reverse come from different denominations or different coin programs; weak strikes and grease fills produce unusual textures that can be collectible if they are extreme enough. Many of these error types appear on eBay listings and specialist auction sites. Selling prices on those platforms illustrate real market demand, though individual listings can vary widely. eBay plus one common price ranges in the market right now for the average circulated 2002 P Jefferson nickel. Expect near face value up to a few cents or a few dimes in common condition. Uncirculated business strike examples may sell in the range of 50 cents to a few dollars depending on eye appeal and strike quality. Certified high-grade pieces like MS65 or above can command higher premiums, with some pieces selling for $10 or more and rare high-end examples selling for significantly more. Error coins can range from a few dollars for minor doubling to hundreds or occasionally close to 1,000 for dramatic. Certified split planchet or extreme die errors sold in auctions. Usecoinbook.com +2 and coin.com +2. About the figure you quoted, $32.280. You gave a current market value of $32.280, and I want to be precise about how to interpret that. If you mean $32.28, that is well above the ordinary retail price for a common 2002 P nickel, but it is plausible as a retail listing price for a certified high-grade example or for a coin sold through a dealer with a markup. If you instead meant $32,280, that is an extreme figure that would only be plausible for an exceptionally rare error of museum quality or a famous provenance coin, and there is no widespread record that a standard 2002 P Jefferson nickel reached that stratospheric value recently. Most reliable price guides and auction records show the most dramatic 2002 and nearby date error nickels selling in the low hundreds to around $1,000 for particularly dramatic and certified pieces. AppMex +2 Coin Value Checker +2. How to examine your coin at home like a pro. Clean hands and good light are your first steps. Use a loupe or strong magnifier and examine the rim fields and the date area. Look for doubling that affects the date or the lettering is especially valuable. Check for planchet anomalies, raised rough areas or missing metal which signal split planchet or clipped planchet. Examine the edges for any doubling or double dies on the reverse. Take photographs from multiple angles. If you see something dramatic, do not clean the coin because cleaning can destroy collector value. Instead, note the features and consider submitting for third-party grading and authentication from a reputable service like PCGS or NGC, which makes it much easier to sell at auction or to dealers. ncoin.com +1 Where to get an appraisal and how to sell for a free directional appraisal. You can use reputable online appraisal services or contact an established coin dealer locally if the coin looks like a high-grade uncirculated piece or shows a dramatic error. Then third-party grading and a specialist auction house or a large online auction site that handles certified error coins will usually get the best price. Gather clear images, show the coin unaltered and include any certification numbers. If available when you sell on eBay, include high-resolution photos and a clear description, and be honest about where damage and any discoloration. Auctions can sometimes produce surprise results for unusual error coins, but the consignor fees and grading fees should be weighed against potential sale prices. Price charting +1 A few case studies. A split planchet 2002 piece certified at an extremely high grade sold at auction for almost $1,000, showing how dramatic physical planchet errors are prized. Coin value checker listings and realized sales on online platforms show that doubled die and doubled reverse examples typically trade for single digits to low double digits unless certified and visually dramatic, in which case they can fetch higher sums. Price charting +1 Final verdict and quick checklist. If you have a 2002 P Jefferson nickel, the odds are high it is common and worth face value or a little more. If your coin is mint state certified in a high grade or displays an obvious dramatic error such as split planchet, mule or major double die, it could be worth substantially more and you should get it examined by professionals. Do not clean or polish the coin. Keep all photos and provenance information. If you decide to sell, obtain at least one independent third-party opinion before committing to a listing price. We are diving deep into the 2017 P Jefferson nickel and uncovering why a coin you probably toss into your spare change jar might sometimes be worth a surprising amount of money. Stay with me because I will explain the history, the minting details, the error varieties, how collectors grade these coins, and what really determines the market value. Segment 1 History and Background. The Jefferson nickel has been an American staple since it replaced the Buffalo nickel in 1938. The obverse Features Thomas Jefferson and the reverse shows Monticello, the home of Jefferson. The design has evolved in small ways, but the core aesthetic has remained familiar to coin collectors and the general public for decades. The 5-cent denomination is struck in a copper-nickel alloy, and the Jefferson nickel is produced at multiple mints including Philadelphia, Denver, and occasionally San Francisco. Segment 2. The 2017 release and the P Mint mark explained in 2017. The United States Mint produced Jefferson nickels at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins carry the P Mint mark indicating Philadelphia. Historically, the Philadelphia Mint used no mint mark on nickels for many decades, and the reintroduction of the P Mint mark on Jefferson nickels in recent years matters to variety hunters and collectors because mint mark placement and mint procedures can affect how dies age and how errors appear. Segment 3. Typical circulation value for most everyday coins from 2017 with the P Mint mark. The market value is essentially face value or slightly above in uncirculated condition. Collector's price. Common circulated 2017 P nickels at a few cents to $1 depending on condition and demand. The standard retail guides list modest values for typical ungraded examples. This means if you pull a random 2017 P nickel from your pocket, you should not expect a windfall unless the coin has a notable error or is a very high grade specimen. Usercoinbook.com +1 Segment 4 Exceptions and why some 2017 P nickels demand big prices. There are important exceptions that can push the value of a 2017 P nickel well beyond face value. First, error coins can be rare and collectible. Errors include improperly annealed planchets that change the coin color dramatically, double die doubling that shows duplicated lettering or devices, die chips and die breaks that create odd bumps or extra design elements, and striking problems that leave unusual impressions. Collectors often pay premiums for coins with clear and documented mint errors, especially when they are scarce or dramatic. An improperly annealed 2017 P nickel in collectible condition has sold at auction for over $200 in the past, and certain spectacular errors and high-grade examples have sold for even more. Coin Value Checker +1 Segment 5 Common error types found in 2017 P nickels and how to spot them. Improper annealing. This error affects the planchet prior to striking and can produce coins with unusual color tones such as yellow, purple, brown, or black. Look for odd toning that looks unnatural for circulation coins and for color changes that cover large areas of the coin. Double die and doubling. Doubling will show repeated or shadow images on lettering or design elements. Inspect letters in phrases like "In God We Trust" and look closely at the date for doubled features. Die chips and die breaks. These appear as raised blobs or lines of extra metal that do not belong to the design. They often show up near lettering or rims and can be dramatic enough to look like additional letters or shapes. Die clashes and misstrikes. A clash or misstrike can partially imprint parts of the obverse onto the reverse or vice versa, creating ghostly or partial images in unexpected locations. Planchet flaws and lamination flaws in the metal sheet can cause layers to peel or flake. This looks like a curled or raised area where the metal separated. Collectible varieties like a pronounced die chip on Monticello that looks like an extra mark around the last O can attract specific collectors. Even coins with visual anomalies that are not strictly errors sometimes find buyers if the anomaly is eye-catching and rare. eBay +1 Segment 6 The role of grading and provenance. One of the most important factors that determines value beyond rarity is grading. A coin graded by a major third-party service such as NGC or PCGS receives an objective numerical grade on the scale from 1 to 70. Higher grades command exponentially higher prices, especially for modern coins. A high-grade 2017 P nickel that also displays a rare error or that shows full steps on the Monticello reverse can fetch strong interest from collectors. Auction provenance, meaning a documented sale history, also boosts buyer confidence and value. If you think you own a valuable error coin, it is wise to get professional authentication and grading before selling or trying to list it on a marketplace. NGC Coin Segment 7 What full steps means and why collectors care. Full steps refers to the degree of strike detail on the steps of Monticello on the reverse of Jefferson nickels. Coins that exhibit full steps show clear, complete horizontal step lines from top to bottom. This is a technical attribute collectors measure because it indicates a sharp strike and often a well-made die impression. Full steps can elevate the value of a modern nickel because collectors prize crisp struck examples and because full-step specimens are less common in everyday circulation. Segment 8 The question of the day. The market value of 26.280. You mentioned a current market value shown as $26.280. I will interpret that in two plausible ways. First, that the figure means $26.28 written in a slightly unusual format, and second, that the figure might mean $26,280 if the number represents $26.28, then that kind of value is above what a common 2017 P nickel would fetch unless it has either a desirable error, a high-grade certification, or a sought-after full steps designation. If the number means $26,280, that would almost certainly refer to an extremely rare certified error or a unique historical variety and would require exceptional provenance and an elite grade to justify that kind of price. Is not typical or expected for a standard modern nickel and would usually be tied to a superstar example with unquestionable authenticity and documented auction history. Always confirm which interpretation of a number is intended when you see a value reported in an unfamiliar format, and verify the actual sale records before assuming a coin is worth extraordinary sums. Coin Value Checker +1 Segment 9 Realistic price ranges based on recent market evidence for ordinary circulated 2017 P nickels. Expect values near face value to about $1. Uncirculated examples can be a few dollars in collectors markets. Full steps examples and mid-level graded coins might reach into the tens of dollars. In some cases, dramatic mint errors that are authenticated can sell for low hundreds to several hundreds of dollars depending on the rarity and grade. Notable auction results and examples listed on marketplaces show wide price variation, and sometimes one-of-a-kind error coins sell for surprising amounts, but the average 2017 P nickel without exceptional traits remains inexpensive compared to highly collectible older nickels like certain wartime issues or rare early 20th century pieces. Modern nickels rarely reach five-figure prices unless they are truly exceptional. Usercoinbook.com +2 eBay +2 Segment 10 How to inspect your coin step by step. Step 1 Gently clean only if you intend to destroy potential collector value, otherwise do not clean. A coin cleaning can drastically reduce collector interest. Step 2 Use a magnifier of 10 times or higher and good light. Look at the date, the lettering, the edges, and especially the reverse steps of Monticello. Step 3 Check for odd colors, doubling, extra lumps, or missing parts of the design. Note any letters that look doubled or faint extra impressions inside the rim or on the field of the coin. Step 4 Compare your coin to verified photos on reputable resources and auction archives. If you see a clear error or something that looks extraordinary, photograph the coin from multiple angles and consider submitting high-resolution images to a coin forum or a local dealer for a preliminary opinion. Step 5 If the coin appears genuinely unusual, obtain third-party authentication before attempting to sell. A graded error with a certificate from NGC or PCGS will almost always fetch a stronger price than an ungraded listing. We are going to talk about the 2018 D. Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin. Many people overlook modern nickels thinking they are all just worth 5 cents, but as you'll learn today, certain examples of the 2018 D. Jefferson nickel can actually be worth a lot more, in some cases up to $20 or more depending on condition and errors. So let's take a deep dive into its history, design, minting process, and what makes certain nickels stand out to collectors. First, let's start with a quick background on the Jefferson nickel itself. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel that had been in circulation since 1913. The new design featured the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse side of the coin, designed by Felix Schlag. The reverse shows Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello, an image that has remained iconic for decades. Over the years, the Jefferson nickel has gone through a few changes, especially in 2004 and 2005 with the Westward Journey series, but in 2006 the original design was brought back with some modernized details. Since then, nickels have continued to be struck at the Denver and Philadelphia mints every year, with occasional special proofs from San Francisco. Now, the coin we're focusing on today is the 2018 D. Jefferson nickel. The D mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Denver Mint. In 2018, over 885 million nickels were produced there, so at first glance, this might sound like a very common coin, and it is, in general circulation. But when it comes to numismatic value, condition, strike quality, and certain rare mint errors can make all the difference. Let's talk about the basic composition first. The Jefferson nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. These are standard specifications for nickels since the World War II era, except for the wartime silver nickels from 1942 to 1945. So what about the value? In circulated condition, most 2018 D nickels are only worth their face value of 5 cents. However, When you start looking at coins that are in uncirculated or mint state grades, the value can increase dramatically, according to recent sales data and coin grading services. A 2018 D Jefferson nickel graded MS65 by PCGS or NGC typically sells for around $1 to $2. If you move up to MS67, the price can jump to $15 or even $20. And at the very top, coins graded MS68, which are incredibly difficult to find, can reach a market value of over $20 and sometimes even a little above that. The highest recorded sale for a 2018 D Jefferson nickel in perfect mint state condition was over $20, specifically around $20.28. Now, while that might not sound like a fortune, it's impressive considering the coin is only a few years old and has a face value of just 5 cents. That means collectors are paying over 400 times its face value for pristine examples. Let's also talk about what makes certain nickels even more valuable: mint errors. Coin collectors love unique varieties and striking mistakes that occur during production. Some of the most valuable 2018 D nickels feature errors like die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, and double dies. For example, there have been reports of 2018 D nickels with a large die crack running through Jefferson's portrait, which can make the coin worth anywhere between $5 and $50 depending on severity and visibility. Off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, can sell for even more, often between $20 and $100 if the date is still visible. Another type of error to look out for is the double die obverse, where details like Jefferson's lips, or the lettering in the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" appear doubled under magnification. While not many have been confirmed for 2018 D, similar doubling patterns from other years have made coins worth hundreds. Next, let's talk about proof and special finish nickels. While the 2018 D Mint struck regular circulation coins, the San Francisco Mint produced proof nickels with mirror-like surfaces for collectors. These are made using specially prepared dies and polished blanks, and while they're not rare, they can be valuable in perfect condition. A 2018 South Proof nickel in Prairie 70 Deep Cameo can sell for $10 to $20. Now, if you're searching your pocket change or coin rolls, what should you look for to spot a valuable 2018 D nickel? Start with condition. If the coin has full steps on the Monticello design on the reverse, meaning all the steps are sharp and well defined, that's a strong sign it might grade high. Coins with full steps are much rarer because most nickels have weak strikes, so collectors will pay a premium for sharp examples. You can also check for luster and surface quality. If the coin looks clean, has minimal marks, and shines brightly, it could be worth submitting to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for evaluation. Let's talk about market trends. In recent years, the demand for modern high-grade nickels has grown among registry set collectors, those who compete to build the best sets of coins graded by top companies. Because of this, prices for coins like the 2018 D in high mint state grades have increased steadily. The current estimated market value for a perfect MS68 full steps 2018 D Jefferson nickel sits at around $20.28 as of today's market average. Even though that might seem modest, remember this is a very young coin, and as time passes and perfect examples become harder to find, prices can rise. Many coins that once sold for a few dollars are now worth hundreds decades later, so holding on to quality examples might be a smart long-term move. So in summary, here's what you need to know. The 2018 D Jefferson nickel is a modern coin that's still common in circulation, but certain coins, especially those in high mint state condition or with rare errors, can be worth $20 or more. Keep an eye out for full steps on the Monticello, doubling on the letters, and any strange die cracks or off-center strikes. Today's video, we're diving deep into the story of the 2020 P. Jefferson nickel, how a modern coin became one of the most talked about nickels in recent history. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a story about rare coins that might be hiding in your pocket. Segment 1. The history of the Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of United States coinage since 1938. It replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured the image of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse. The design was created by Felix Schlag, whose depiction of Jefferson and his home Monticello became iconic. Over the decades, the design went through several updates. The most significant changes came in the early 2000s with the Westward Journey series, and later, the return to a more realistic portrait of Jefferson. By the year 2020, the Mint was producing billions of nickels annually, including at the Philadelphia Mint, which carries the letter P under the date. At first glance, the 2020 P nickel looks like an ordinary coin, but certain examples from that year have proven to be anything but ordinary. Segment 2. What makes the 2020 P nickel special? While most 2020 P nickels are only worth their face value, some have turned out to be incredibly valuable due to minting errors and high-grade conditions. Collectors began noticing that a small number of coins from this year had striking anomalies, things like double dies, off-center strikes, and other unique features that made them highly collectible, but the real star among them is the 2020 P Jefferson nickel that sold for over $14,000. This coin was graded by a professional grading service as being in exceptional mint state condition, with a nearly flawless surface, sharp details, and blazing luster. The combination of rarity, perfection, and collector demand pushed its auction price to a jaw-dropping $14,280. Segment 3, Understanding Mint Marks and Grades. The Mint Mark P on the 2020 nickel stands for the Philadelphia Mint, one of the main production facilities for U.S. coinage. In most years, coins from this mint are quite common. However, when a coin from a massive mintage like 2020 stands out in perfect or error condition, its rarity multiplies its value. Coin grading plays a huge role in determining worth. Grading agencies like PCGS and NGC use a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a flawless coin. Most circulated nickels fall between grades 40 and 60. But when a 2020 P nickel is certified at a grade of MS68 or higher, it becomes extremely desirable. A top pop coin, meaning the highest grade known, can bring thousands of dollars at auction, as we've seen with the $14,280 sale. Segment 4, Varieties and Errors to Look For. If you have a 2020 P nickel, here are a few things to look for. Look for doubling on Jefferson's I, the letters in Liberty, or the word Monticello on the reverse. These could indicate a double die variety. Check the rim and edges. Some examples have been found with partial collars or off-center strikes. Inspect for die cracks, die chips, or struck-through errors, where debris interfered during the minting process. Even a subtle error can turn a common nickel into a collectible piece worth anywhere from a few dollars to several hundred, or even thousands, depending on rarity and condition. Segment 5, Current Market Value and Collecting Tips. As of now, the average 2020 P nickel in circulated condition is worth around its face value, 5 cents. Uncirculated examples might bring $1 or $2 from collectors seeking complete date sets. However, the top-grade coins certified as MS68 or MS69, especially with full steps on the Monticello building, can reach well into the hundreds or thousands, and the finest known examples, those in pristine condition, or with unique minting errors, have fetched upwards of $14,280 in recent auctions. Collectors should always handle coins carefully, avoiding touching the surfaces with bare fingers, and store them in protective holders. If you believe you found a high-grade or error coin, it's worth submitting it to a grading service for professional evaluation. Segment 6, Why Modern Coins Can Still Be Valuable. You might think only old coins are valuable, but modern coins can carry huge premiums under the right circumstances. The combination of rarity, condition, and collector interest can transform even a coin less than a decade old into a valuable treasure. The 2020 P Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of this. It proves that even coins minted by the millions can have standout examples that attract serious collector attention and serious money. Conclusion. So next time you get change from a store, take a closer look at those nickels. That simple 2020 P Jefferson nickel sitting in your hand might just be the next big discovery, worth not 5 cents, but 5 figures. If you enjoyed learning about this rare and valuable coin, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more stories about coins worth big money, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found an interesting coin in your pocket change. Who knows? The next $14,280 nickel might already be in your wallet.